My name is Bobby. I'm a customer success manager here at Healthify in New York City. I am super excited that you got the chance to join our Track training webinar today. If you didn't know, that is what we're doing. We're walking through the Track platform of Healthify. So everyone should be able to see my screen right now. It should say Healthify. You should be able to hear me loud and clear. So just a little bit of background I like to talk about Healthify. Healthify is the easiest way for your team to find social services, collaborate with teammates, and share resources with members. One of the interesting statistics I like to share is the one we see up here. 60% of our health is linked to social determinants. It's the elephant in the room in healthcare. So it's something we've recognized is a huge barrier to people's health, is connecting them with social services, and that's our goal, is to help people get connected to those services. Some of the objectives of today's webinar, a few things we want to go through. Obviously, we want to understand what Healthify is and what it does. I just touched on that. It's really a better way for you to connect folks to social services. Some of the actual tactical things we're going to do is we're going to create a new patient inside of Healthify. After we create that new patient, we're going to actually find a service for that individual and create a referral for that patient inside Healthify. And finally, what I would actually say is arguably the most important part is we're going to mark that referral as completed. So that's going to be something where you're going to be able to go back into Healthify, look at previous referrals that have been made, and mark those as completed. And then, of course, like all webinars, we're going to talk about how to find support using Healthify, some of the channels of communication that you can use to connect with us for questions, ideas, feedback, all the above. Something I do like to touch on is a little bit behind our data. We've got an entire resource network team that's devoted to adding and uploading and updating our resources. So we have about 200,000 resources in our database. It's a mixture of both high touch and high tech. In the sense of high touch would be we actually make contact with these CBOs, potentially call them, potentially go on their website, verify information is correct in that sense, as well as high tech. So we're using some pretty cool technology to pull a lot of information across the internet to get a lot of resources into Healthify at once. So the best way to think about Track is in a scenario where you'd actually be looking to make a referral. So we've got this fictitious character. Her name's Helen. So allow me to tell you this quick story. Helen is a 62-year-old female currently living in New York. She's the caregiver for her husband, Thomas. And for years, she's battled anxiety and depression, which is exacerbated by their increased difficulty to afford basic items, especially food. Now, in 2013, Helen was involved in a car accident, which left her unable to drive, making it difficult to get around town or to get to appointments. Now, based on that four-sentence, 30-second overview right there, we're able to identify a few needs that Helen has. I'm sure we're thinking in our heads, Helen could, use X, Y, Z. So based on what I've derived from this conversation are three needs that Helen has. The first is food delivery, right? Issues getting around town, issues getting to appointments. That's something that's going to be very useful for Helen. The second is assisted living. Helen's the caregiver for her husband, Thomas. Thomas he needs a full-time caregiver, right? That would probably be something that would be a very big help for Helen. And then the third is mental health, right? We see all of these things weighing down on Helen, the stress of having to take care of someone else, the anxiety of being in a car accident, all of the mental stress that goes along with not being able to afford basic items. So we know that's really weighing down on Helen. And here's where Healthify comes in, right? So ideally, we're able to take this information and search for a resource. We're able to find a great resource. And now, today, we're going to talk about that second process of tracking and managing Helen inside of Healthify. So let's go ahead and actually, let's jump right into it. So immediately, we are on, this is what the Healthify Track platform looks like. So if you've used Healthify Search before, you're probably familiar with something that looks like this, right? We've got the what and the where. We've got our favorites down here. But then if you go up here, when you have Track enabled, this is what the Track platform looks like. So immediately, right here in the center, we're always going to have our population view. So these are, and I do like pointing this out, this is all fake information. None of this is actual PHI or PII. So don't think you're actually looking at anyone's real information. These are some fictitious characters we have. But we've imagined this is your population in here. These are the folks you're working with every single day. On the left-hand side, we've got a few filters that we can sort by. So we've got social risk level, low, medium, and high. We've got the team members. So these are some folks on our team. This would be, imagine these are your colleagues. These are the people you sit next to every single day, your boss, your friend, people you're working with. Populations and interventions, this is something that is set up for each team, and it's something that we can help you create specific populations and specific interventions for the folks you're working with. Let's actually get into this and create a new patient. So right up here, we're going to see it says add a new patient. Let's click on that. All right. So this is what the page looks like when we want to create a patient. So let's go ahead and add someone in here. So we will make a character up. His name will be J, and his last name will be Z, JZ. Let's add in a birth date for JZ. We will put in JZ was born in the summer, August 10th, and he was born on, say JZ was born in 77, good year. Down here we have a patient ID. So what we can do with Healthify is we can actually connect to your care management system or your electronic health record and stream this data back and forth. So in this case, if this was connected to your case management system or your electronic health record, this would be a patient ID that would be associated with them. But because we're just creating a one-off patient, this does not, we don't need to fill that in. Assign team members. So what we want to do here is we want to select all of the folks that would be working specifically with JZ. So we'll go in here, and we notice the first one here, Paula Smith, is in bold, and here's why. If we look up here, Paula is the name of our account. That's who we are. So if your name was Jim Smith would be in bold, to be the first one. So we're working specifically with JZ, so we're going to add ourselves to his profile. But let's say you actually work on a team. So you also work with Eric. So now that means when Eric and you actually sort patients on your patient, the catalog of all your patients, both of you come up for under JZ. JZ, we decide, is in the diabetic population that we're working with. And because of that, diet management is the intervention we were working with JZ. We've got a few different options with regard to gender here. We'll go ahead and click male. Is JZ a U.S. citizen? Yes or no? If we click no, that's going to be something that will help us identify potential immigration services, but we'll click yes for today. And then JZ's address line. We want to put in the most specific information we can here. You'll notice some of this is not required. The only thing that's really required is first name, last name, and date of birth. But the more information you put in here, it's only going to help. So we'll go ahead and add some information here. JZ lives at 3 Park Ave, and JZ lives on Suite 405, and that's in New York, New York 10016. Perfect. Down here, does JZ have a phone? Something, if we can get someone's information and their phone, that's going to be really valuable for us if we want to call them back later, if we want to set up features like automatic texting or referral information. So if we can, we want to collect that. So let's collect that. So for JZ's phone number, let's say it is 203-654-7896. Does this patient accept text messages via phone? Yeah, we want to consent with JZ and ask him, hey, are you willing to get a text message from Healthify? And ideally, they opt into yes, because that's how we can send them information. So let's click yes. And then Jay-Z's email address. If we had an email for him, we could put that in. We'll put in j.z@healthify.us. And we'll click Save. All right. So up here we see that Jay-Z, our patient, has been created. We see that notification. We could go ahead and search Jay-Z right now. We'll just search Jay, and we see Jay-Z right in here. We see all this information that we just collected all in here. And it's important right here, you'll note no referrals have been created. So we have not created a single referral for Jay-Z because we haven't found a resource for him. We're going to do that. We're going to do that better, or we're going to do that. We're going to do that now. So as I mentioned, we're not going to get too deep in the weeds today on search, but let's go ahead and find a resource for Jay-Z. So remember, Jay-Z lives at 3 Park Ave, New York, New York. So let's search for food for Jay-Z. We're searching for food, and let's say with Jay-Z, we want to find something. There's a lot of resources here. We want to look for a food pantry. So we're going to add that filter in. We click Apply. We're going from 831 results to 300. We still want to get a little bit closer. Let's say Jay-Z, we want to add him into our eligibilities. Jay-Z is... let's see, we got some options here. Jay-Z, let's say, is near homeless. So we'll add that eligibility in. So we went from 300 to 24, and we've got a lot of, we've got some stuff up here, it looks like out in Brooklyn. We've got some stuff potentially in the Bronx. That's kind of far away. Let's go down, and we want to find results that are really close to where Jay-Z lives at 3 Park Ave. We're going to bring this distance down to 3 miles. Click Apply Filter. 2 resources. Perfect. That's how we were able to find a great resource really quick. So let's go ahead and let's say I'm familiar with the Relief Bus. I've worked with them in the past. Let's go ahead and click on this resource. So again, I've stressed this, but we're not getting too deep in the weeds today on search. That is a separate webinar. So if it feels like I'm going a little fast here, definitely write into the chat and I can help you get connected with our search webinar where we walk through the search process a little bit slower. But we look at this, we see we've got a lot of great information here, and we decide that this is a great resource for Jay. Jay is someone that's looking for a food pantry. He's in a near homeless population, and we decide that this is a great resource. So now we want to make the referral. One of the best values of the referral is that this becomes a repository of information for previous referrals you've made in the past. So let's say you're managing a caseload of, I've heard anywhere from 50 to, in some crazy cases, 65, 70 plus folks in a caseload. This is a great way to keep track of all of the conversations you're having, all of the referrals you're making inside of Healthify. So up here, we see this button that says Create a Referral. That does exactly what it says it does. So we're going to click on that, and then this pop-up comes up right here. So the first is our client. So the person we're working with is Jay-Z. So let's go, and let's just search a few different ways we could search here. We could search by last name, Z comes up. We could search by first name, J comes up, or we obviously could search Jay-Z. Maybe there's multiple J's in here. And we're going to click on that because that's the client we're looking to make a referral for today. Resource programs. These are the programs that are offered at the Relief Bus of New York City. So we know, I think earlier the tag we selected was food pantry. So we've got some options here. We could scroll down. A lot of different options for the reason we're referring him today, but we know today we're referring him for the food pantry. If this resource had a lot, we could just go ahead and search it as well, and we're clicking food pantry. We can refer multiple services as well. Let's say we wanted to do all of these, but for today we just want to do food pantry. So we can go ahead and delete those using our keyboard, and we've got food pantry. select the language. So if we wanted to, we could download a text. I'm sorry, we could download a PDF and send a text. This is the language that we would be choosing for that information. But for today, we just want to leave that in English, and we want to send a text to Jay-Z. Remember, he is in our track profile, so all of that information is in there. And then download a PDF. I will do that today just to show you how that looks. It's going to download right to our desktop. Let's click Submit Referral to actually make this referral. See, we got 2 notifications, download and process, and referral has been completed. So now we'll hang out here for just a second till that downloads. So this just downloaded. This is the PDF we selected. All of this information was here. Maybe if we were working with Jay-Z, they were in our office, we made that referral, but we also wanted to download this PDF and print it out and give it to them in our office. That's one way you could do both of those at once. I'm going to close that. Perfect. So we created that referral. The next step here would be to go back and actually look at that information. So remember, we're in the search platform. We want to go back to the track platform. So let's go ahead and click on that. Perfect. So again, we've got all of our patients in here. Let's go ahead and search for Jay. Okay. Jay-Z. Perfect. Let's go ahead and click on him. All right. So remember, this is all the information we made earlier. And then down here, we've got a referral section. So this is the referral we just created. Remember, the name of that resource is the Relief Bus of New York City. That's the referral the resource we just identified. We made that referral on 4/27/2017. I can confirm it is 4/27 and it is 2017. And then down here are all of the resources that the Relief Bus of New York City offers. Remember, we saw food in there earlier. We saw referrals. We saw alcohol abuse services. But importantly, the reason we made this referral was for the food pantry. There could be, if a resource offers multiple things, this will be helpful for you to know the difference between, was Jay-Z looking for food or was he looking for clothing? It's a big difference in need. So you selecting those needs is going to be valuable for you. Now, this really comes into play where maybe you only get to see Jay once every couple weeks, or maybe once every couple months. So now you can know that when you made this referral on 4/27, you can go in here and ask, hey, how did that referral go? How did that conversation go when you went to the Relief Bus? Ideally, Jay had a chance to go there, got the services that he was looking for, and is on the road to better health. So that's one way you could find out that information. The second way would be to potentially go ahead and look into contacting the Relief Bus of New York City. So there's a few different ways you could do that. You could email them, you could call them, and maybe they've got a great tracking system where you could say, hey, I made a referral on April 27th, and I sent one of my clients over there, Jay. Did you get a chance to speak to him? Right. So you could do a little bit of investigative work on that end. So 2 different angles that you could try to collect this information, either from the individual that you made the referral through or through the actual resource. Certainly, if you have communication with the family, that's another great way you could do it. And then to mark that referral as completed, which I would say is very important, is really self-explanatory. And we've got this nice little checkbox here. We can go ahead and click completed. We get this nice notification down here, updated resource successfully. We could also undo that, and we're going to get a message that's been successful. But for now, we want to mark that as completed. Again, we're going to get a message that says it's been successful. So that is how we do a high-level track referral today. So what we're able to do is we're able to actually go ahead and create a patient. We created Jay-Z. We're able to review our population in here. Again, this is actually, I want to show you a quick filter here. So we're going to go ahead and search for Jay-Z. So Jay-Z is working with Eric and Eric and Paula. Those are the two folks he's working with. If we're back on this page, if we wanted to do, let's do a blank search through all of our patients. Let's say we wanted to just see who Eric is working with. So I click on Eric and I click search. These are all the folks Eric's working with. And let's see Eric and Paula. Let's see what comes up. Okay. So we see Eric and Paula. These are all the folks that are either working with Eric or Paula. And this is organized alphabetically. So we see back here Eric and Paula, J, Z. Z is a pretty very end of the alphabet last name. So we've got all of this information here. And again, we could see this referral that was just completed. So we walked through the entire Track platform today, some high-level features. One of the important things that we want to know is questions or ideas you have along the way. So you may have noticed that on the bottom right-hand side here, we've got this in-app chat function. So if you click on that, you can click Start a New Conversation. And this is a direct line of communication into Healthify with our team. So if you're in here and you're wondering, how do I send a text message to a client? Or how do I email something to a client? Things like that. That is a great question for you to go ahead and ask us via the in-app chat. These are some colleagues that we work with. Sometimes my picture shows up here. It didn't today. But this is a great, the in-app chat is one of the best ways to communicate directly with us. So now you are ready to log in and actually create referrals. Once again, my name is Bobby. I'm a Customer Success Manager here at Healthify. Any questions you have, definitely go ahead and email support@healthify.us. We're here to help you. They could be any and all, so definitely communicate with us via the email support@healthify.us. Once again, thanks for spending time with me. If you're about to eat lunch, I am jealous. Have a great afternoon, and happy searching. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.